Colour theory with the focus on the colour wheel. Here's some resources you might need.
Hello, today we're going to get started on Module 3. We're going to start Module 3 by looking at colour theory, and today we are going to be making our own colour wheels. So I'm going to show you how to draw out a colour wheel, but if you prefer to find a template from the internet, you can do that. There's lots of different templates that you can choose from online, but today I'm going to show you how to draw one out yourself. So for this task, you're going to need a protractor, a compass, and a pencil. You're also going to need a ruler, and you will be needing paint, but we'll talk a little bit more about what kind of paint you're going to need in a little while. Right, so to get started, you're going to use your compass, and actually this is surprisingly difficult. Lots of people find this surprisingly difficult. There is a right way and a wrong way, but I'll show you how to do that. So I'm working on A4 paper, or actually I'm working on A4 card, which is brighter. My cartridge, if I show you my cartridge paper, is slightly creamier, so I've just chosen to work on white card, but if you can find some white paper that's a little bit brighter, this will just help the colours be bold. And then when you load your, if I just show you how to load your compass as well, if you know all this already, please do fast forward, but when you put your pencil into your compass, you need to make sure the points meet, and then tighten it up. And then because I'm working on A4 paper, I'm just going to roughly make sure my circle is going to fit in the space that I have. And I want it to be as big as it can be. So if I just measure that for you, around 9.5 centimetres should do it. Find a centre point, make sure it's going to fit on. And then the right way to do it is to hold the top of the compass and spin it round. But some people find this quite difficult. So actually, I'm going to show you the cheat way. And what I like to do is hold the top of the compass like this. I don't want the point to stab into the paper, but it does need to be quite secure. So if you hold the top of the compass and lean the compass back like this, and then I'm not moving the compass at all, I'm going to spin the paper around, making sure that my point doesn't move. If the point moves, you may need to restart. But there we go. Now I don't want to lose the point. It's really important that you know where the centre of the circle is. So I'm just going to use my pencil on the other end just to mark it out. Okay, so you've got a perfect circle. I plan on cutting this out later, so it doesn't matter if it's slightly off centre. But if you're not going to cut yours out and you want to keep it on the A4 paper, you might need to just work out the centre of the paper to make sure it's central. Okay, so I'm going to use my mechanical pencil, and today I'm going to press quite hard with my pencil so as you can see it, but it would be better for you to press a little bit lighter when you come to make your own, so as when you paint it you don't see the lines. You don't want to see the dividing lines. Okay, what I'm going to do now is use my ruler to draw a vertical line through the middle of my colour wheel. And I'll press a little bit harder so you can see it, okay? And then a horizontal line, like so. So you should have a nice cross through the middle of your circle. Now you need to take your protractor, a little bit of numeracy to go with our art today, and then position the cross on the cross of your circle. And we're going to mark out every 30 degrees. So 30, 60, 90 is already done for us. 120, 150, and then spin it round. Turn it around that way. and do the same on the other side. Make sure the cross is right on the cross of your circle so as it's accurate. Okay, and then mark out again 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. Okay, set your protractor to the side. We shouldn't be needing that again for a little while. And if, like me, you have got pencil marks from your ruler, just rub those out. Don't worry too much though, because paint will cover any marks that you have on your paper. Okay, you need your ruler again now, and you're going to match up the marks around the circle, making sure all of your lines pass through the center point of the circle. If they don't pass through, this isn't going to be very neat and it's not going to be accurate. So just make sure that you match up the 3 marks, the center, and then the 2 marks either side of your circle. Again, I'm pressing hard so as you can see it, but you need to make sure you're pressing nice and lightly. If you do press hard, then you might want to just start rubbing those lines out slightly before you start painting. We don't want to see any dividing lines. There we have it. Perfect circle divided into 12 sections. Okay, we're going to start painting now. So today I'm using some very basic block watercolours. If I show you, this is what I'm using. I have my 3 primary colours, my red, blue and yellow, but I won't be using the other colours on the block. I won't be using the white, the black or the brown. I'm just using the 3 primary colours. That's really important. If you're using a watercolour palette that has a wide variety of different colours, I would still prefer that you just focus on using the red, the blue and the yellow for now. And you can always come back and do a second colour wheel later and explore the other colours on your palette and have a go at mixing them a little bit more. Okay, so the way we're going to start painting this, start with any of your 3 primary colours. And it doesn't matter where you start on the colour wheel, okay? So I'm just going to start randomly at the top. You need to make sure you choose an appropriate brush as well. So this is a size 5. Make sure your brush has got a nice point, because if it hasn't, it's not going to be very neat, and we need some nice accurate, neat painting. And then just start by painting one of your sections as neat as you can. And again, if you intend on cutting this out, then it doesn't matter too much if it goes over the edge, but it's good practice to try and not let that happen. With watercolours, what I find is you probably need to work them quite a bit with the water to get a really nice consistency. If you apply too much water, the colours aren't going to be very bold. But if you use enough water and then sort of work it with your brush to get a nice consistency, then you should get a nice bold colour. And that's what we want. Okay, as neat as possible. Take your time with this. You don't need to rush it. It's quite therapeutic actually. Yeah, nice and neat. Okay, once you finish painting one section with your primary colour, you need to leave 3 blank sections. So if I move on to my next colour, I'm just going to choose red. Again, it doesn't matter which order you paint these in. And again, I've not actually used these colours before, so I need to really work that paint to get a nice consistency. I'm leaving 1, 2, 3 empty spaces, then I'm going on to the 4th. As neat as you can. Making sure you're using a nice pointed brush. There we are. Okay, and then again I'm going to do the exact same thing again. Now I'm leaving 3 empty sections and I'm moving on to the 4th with my final primary colour. So the reason they're called primary colours is because they are the first colours to make any other colour. Primary colours cannot be made by mixing other colours together, and you find red, blue and yellow in every other colour that you make. 1, 2, 3, and then paint in the last section with my final primary colour. Okay, I didn't mention earlier, but you will need a mixing tray. This can be an art mixing tray, or it can be a plate. It doesn't really matter, as long as you have something to mix your colours on. Okay, so that's our 3 primary colours. And now I'm going to show you how to make your 3 secondary colours. So secondary colours are made by mixing 2 primary colours together. Here's my mixing tray. And the way we're going to do this is, where we've left 3 empty spaces in between our primary colours, the middle of those sections is going to be our secondary colour. And the way we're going to make that secondary colour is by mixing the 2 primary colours, which is either side of it. So for this first space, I'm going to mix my yellow with my red. I'm only going to use a small amount of red with my yellow, because my yellow's a lot bolder. So that is my orange. And you will notice, obviously, because we're mixing the 2 colours together now, the brightness of the colour might be compromised slightly. So if you do find that it's coming up a little bit watery, just mix it again using a little bit more colour. It's a lot bolder now. And it should be a perfect mix between the yellow and the red, or between the 2 primary colours. So it should be a 50-50 mix. Okay, I'm going to move on now to do to fill in my other secondary colour sections. So remember, to get your secondary colour, you need to mix the 2 primary colours that are either side of it. So for this space, I'm going to mix my red and my blue. It's tempting to mix your colour on the colour block when you're using watercolours, but try not to do that because you'll change the colours. So make sure you are using a mixing tray. When you mix your yellow and blue together, you might find that the colour looks very dark, but when you actually apply it to the paper or to the page, you'll see that it is the colour it is supposed to be. So our yellow and our blue makes violet. Might just add a little bit more blue to make sure that that is a perfect 50-50 mix. And you'll see why in a moment when we come to add the rest of the colours. So these are our secondary colours, and these can be made by mixing primary colours together. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to mix my last secondary colour, which is a mix between my yellow and my blue, and hopefully that is going to create a green. Perfect. Okay, once you finish painting your primary colours and your secondary colours, you'll see now that we still have some empty gaps. And those empty gaps will be filled with something called a tertiary colour. So a tertiary colour is made by mixing a primary and a secondary colour together. And we're going to fill the gaps by mixing the two colours which are either side. So it's really important that you don't mix new colours over the top of your secondary colours, because you're going to use those secondary colours to make two new colours. So we don't want to completely change what we see there. So if I show you, what I want to do is I want to take some of that green, move it over to my space over here, and then for this colour here, or this section here, I'm going to add some yellow to my green that I've already made. And this is going to create a yellow green. And that's what goes in that gap there. So the change should be quite slight. And if you think that it's too dramatic a change, then you can adjust it slightly by adding more green or more yellow. So I'm still using that green, but the green that I didn't change earlier, I'm going to add some blue to that now. And that colour is going to go on the other side of it, like that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the rest of my tertiary colours. And there you have a perfect colour wheel. So the colours should gradually change as they move around the wheel. And if yours don't, then have a second look and see why. So if they're too different, what do you need to add to the colour to make it so as they flow better? I'm going to allow that to dry and then cut it out, and then I'm going to show you how to label it. Okay, so once you finish painting your colour wheel, allow it to dry, and you can see here how I have mounted my colour wheel onto black paper to allow it to stand out against the paper. I have created a title using my colour theory knowledge so far, and I have made a subtitle which says the colour wheel. Okay, once you've done that, you need to consider how you're going to label it. And that sounds really easy, but actually you need to remember all of the technical names for the colours. So I've chosen to type mine out, and then I've printed those out. And then I'm going to cut those out and stick them where they need to go on my colour wheel. My advice would be to start with the primary colours because you know which ones those are. So I'm going to start with red, blue and yellow. And then if you think back to how you actually painted your colour wheel and remember how you painted the middle sections in between your primary colours to make your secondary colours, you can then label your secondary colours, which are orange, violet and green. Once you've done that, you should have your tertiary colours remaining, and they are the primary and the secondary colour they make the new colour, the colour name. So for example, if I've got my colour in between my green and my yellow, that colour is technically called yellow green. My violet and purple, my violet blue colour will go in between my violet and my blue, and so on. So yes, just give that a go. Then you can handwrite it. It really depends on your style of presentation. If you like to handwrite rather than type, please do. But just really think about the creativity of your presentation as well.